Hey there, folks. So, after a bit of back and forth on my side of things, I decided that I would do a bit of an overview of the 5.6 release of Unreal Engine, what it adds, what's some nice things, not so nice things in my opinion, and just overall my opinion on the release. Now, I'm not sure how long it's going to take because there's quite a few things to go into. I'm not going to go into all of it, but start by taking a quick look at the table of contents. As you can see, there is a lot. I'm not going to go into all of these as it would take like 6 hours to cover everything. Personally, a lot of this isn't relevant. I'm not concerned about it. So I'm only going to go over the things I think are the most important parts of this release. First one I'm going to cover is the new Fast Geometry Streaming plugin. Now, yes, this is experimental, which means it could end up stuck in limbo, but given the current push by both Epic and CD Projekt Red to optimize the engine, I really see this one getting a lot of love and a lot more work in 5.7, 5.8, and even in minor releases of 5.6. The short of this one, and I'm going to be paraphrasing a lot here or going into simple descriptions just because I don't want this to be like a 2-hour episode. But the short of this one is it is going to be helping improve loading times in large open worlds. And what the biggest thing it's going to be helping with is like when you're in a large open world game and you're moving around and you trigger like a new level to load in, you may have noticed there's some hitching that normally happens. Like there's a little bit of a lag spike as everything gets loaded in. Well, this Fast Geometry Streaming plugin overall is going to be helping improve that process and try to get rid of that hitching. So next up, we have World Bookmarks. Now, this one really doesn't offer anything special, particularly when it comes to your actual final game, but it's a nice to have feature and it's going to really help people with level design and things like that. So a brief description of this one is you can now bookmark camera positions in editor in your world, and that'll allow you to like quickly move around. So like say you have this big open world map, you have a city in what would be the northwest corner and another city in the southeast corner. You have these bookmarks where you can quickly like move from the northwest to the southeast or vice versa. So that, like, again, it's not going to help your final product, but it's going to help with level design and things like that. You can bookmark key locations that you're going to be bouncing back and forth between, things like that. Another one that's not going to help the final game itself, but it's going to help with the game design aspect of things, is landscape batched merge. Now, what this one is doing is at a high level, it's going to help with the large open worlds when you're building HLODs and things like that. So say, for example, currently you have a 10 by 10 segmented world. What's going to happen is in like 5.5 and previous, when you do batch LOD, or HLODs I should say, if you make a change in one of those, it has to regenerate all 100 of those individual sublevels, the 10 by 10 grid. With this batch merge, it's going to separate those into smaller chunks. So a 2 by 2, I'm just using an example out of thin air. So you got a 2 by 2 or a 3 by 3 grid, and it's only going to regenerate the ones that have been modified within that 3 by 3 area that the level is part of. So again, using that 10 by 10, you modify the top left one and you're using a 3 by 3 grid, it's going to be those top 9 that get regenerated instead of all 100. All right, next one, Celestial Vault. Now this one I'm actually really excited for. But to put it simply, it's now a built-in day-night cycle including your sun, your moon, your stars, your clouds, volumetric fog, I believe. I have to look into that one. And it covers both what you would expect the night sky to look like on Earth, as well as it's got the option for like alien skies. You can see there's fictional mention there. Now, I do need to spend some time looking into this one independently, as I'm really interested in what it offers, especially for the survival game. Like, I would really love to have the ability for you to like look up into the sky and, okay, there's the North Star. I want to navigate off that. So if it's got that functionality, I'm going to be really excited for that. Okay, now this is a big one, both in terms of everything that's been added to the engine, as well as my personal opinion of how it affects it. MetaHuman. There's a lot to cover with this one, so bear with me here. I'm going to be simplifying a lot of it. Firstly, MetaHuman is now part of the engine itself. It's not entirely local to your workstation. There's still certain things that are processed using their online systems for MetaHuman, but a lot of the work is now local to your machine. And that's a big thing, at least for myself, as it gives access to MetaHuman more directly. There's potential for code hook-ins. I still need to look into that side of things further, and stuff like that. Now, I'm actually delaying work on the equipment system in the main project while I look into the capabilities of MetaHuman here, because for anyone who watched a couple of the episodes I have on the original equipment system, I was trying to determine like what sort of equipment slots, how to handle things there. I need to look into that with MetaHuman to see if it's going to give me access to the functionality I'm after, or if I'm going to have to stick with the process I've got of using third-party assets that are generic, for lack of a better description. Let's see what else. There's MetaHuman is in Fab now. That's sort of a big thing. It means there's going to be third-party creators who now are creating assets for Fab. Not for Fab, for MetaHuman, which is nice. There's also a bunch of stuff for facial animation, like live things. Honestly, that doesn't affect me too much. I really don't care about that. I'm not a VTuber. So, all right. Next up, changes to the viewport in the editor. Again, this is another one that doesn't really affect your final product, but, and I'll be honest, I really didn't think it was going to be that much that it would be like of a difference that it would be even worth talking about. However, after poking around with 5.6 since it's come out, I can say the change is enough that you actually notice it. They've made the UI, at least in my opinion, more user-friendly. It's easier to navigate, things like that. So it's a small one, but it's something I felt was worth talking about. Now, PCG. I haven't covered anything about PCG, or Procedural Content Generation, in the series yet, and I'm not going to be for quite some time. But PCG is a real cool feature in Unreal Engine 5. It allows you to, well, procedurally generate content. A good example is you have like a cliff overhang. You can, at a code level, determine vine growth, things like that hang down. That's a really rough example, but the quick and dirty of what they've done with PCG in 5.6 is they have done a crap ton of optimization across the board. Everything I've seen so far has made it faster, more efficient. It's just an overall major improvement. So I'm really excited about that one. Now, as I mentioned at the start, there's stuff I'm not too big of a fan of with 5.6, and this is one of them. Project templates. So they've gone back and added in a bunch of the older project templates that they used to have when you would start a new project, and great, I like those. I was actually quite disheartened when they removed a bunch of those originally. What I don't like, though, is now these are no longer independent projects. They are a sub-selection of the core templates. So like you've got your first person, and then you got first person horror. And what I really don't like, and this is at least with C++, I haven't poked around at a blueprint like a blueprint only project startup. But what I really don't like is with C++, they add in all of them. So if you start a C++ third person project, you get all 3 templates, 4 templates technically. And that adds in a lot of extra content that you don't need. Now, yes, it's a small thing, and it only takes a little bit of effort to remove them from your project, but it's still effort. And if you're wanting to do rapid prototyping of an idea, which is what I tend to do, is, this would be a cool idea. I'll spend an hour, create a project, use a starter content, test things out. But anyways, it can get a little cumbersome when you have to deal with all that. Like, yeah, it's realistically, when you're talking in the scope of a single project, it's no big deal. It's just something I'm not a fan of. Now, this one, there isn't anything specific within the release notes that cover this topic, but this is a big thing with 5.6 that I felt I needed to talk about. And that is performance. So for anyone who watched the State of Unreal stream at Unreal Fest, you'll know performance was a big talking point, at least with the guys from CD Projekt Red on their little segment. Well, I have poked around 5.6 since it was officially released, and I can say that was not them just blowing smoke. I have noticed improvements across the board with performance compared to 5.5, 5.4, and all previous versions of the engine. I still have my main project in 5.5, but I have several other projects that I've upgraded to 5.6, and I can say, damn, is it more performant. Like, launching the editor drastically faster. I'm seeing improvements in the region of like 60 to 70% faster. Build times in Visual Studio, massive improvements there. In some cases, I'm seeing as much as a 50% improvement in build time. And for clarity, just in case I'm using confusing terms there, I mean, if it was a build that previously took 10 minutes, it now only takes 5. Now, there's still a lot of other features within the engine I need to poke at and test. Things like cooking content, baking lighting, generating HLODs. But overall, 5.6 has been a huge performance improvement over 5.5. The improvements alone, I should say, are enough to upgrade to 5.6 in my opinion. So, now, I did sort of just give it away, but do I think 5.6 is worth it? TLDR is yes. Yes, I do. It is more than worth it. The biggest thing for me, and I did just cover it, but it's the performance improvements. MetaHuman, that's a really nice addition. But in my opinion, the Celestial Vault is even better. I do need to do some further digging into both of those in the future, but and I actually just decided, but I'm probably going to do a couple of videos looking into both the Celestial Vault and the MetaHuman stuff. So keep an eye out for those in the near future. But I'm also going to be doing an episode covering upgrading the main project from 5.5 to 5.6. And with that, we'll be dealing with anything that may break as a result of it. I don't know if or what will break, so that could be a very short episode, or it could be a very long one. We'll have to wait and see. And that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. If you got something out of it, go ahead and like, comment, or subscribe. It really does help the channel. If you want to take it a bit further, maybe become a member or try dropping a super. It's a solid way to support my work. Appreciate you sticking around, and I will see you in the next episode.